All right, welcome everybody to the first time you're ever seeing this brushless IROC series here at Lane's Raceway, starting to kick off the spring series here. The reason you didn't see a race at 3:30 is because, well, for one, I recorded the whole thing instead of live streaming. I was always wondering why the live stream wasn't up and running. I'm just running my mouth talking through the whole thing, but I recorded it. So what we'll probably end up doing, if I can make it happen, is upload it to YouTube later on this evening. Nonetheless, we see the cars out here. Right now we're trying to get a hard body running on the oval simultaneously, so that right after this we can go jump right into the hometown heroes. But we got a little bit of time while the wife is setting things up. I'm going to go over here and we're going to talk to some of the racers in the spring series. For those that were wanting to know how the events of the last series went in the Group F wing car, Guillermo Sire took it first place, beating out Randy, but it was a pretty good battle between you, Randy, and Nathaniel, wasn't it?
Yes, and we were tied with Randy until the last heat. And then I guess he was one lap behind, pushes a little too much. So he lost like 3 laps on the last heat, but up to there it was very, very tight. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the fourth round robin heat, you, Nathaniel, and Randy were all on the same lap, I think about 140 or something like that. I knew it was going to be a good race because down in the bottom 2 positions, Glenn and Jackson were tied up also.
It was a really good race. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Well, I know that these guys can flat run some wing car. Jackson having a little bit of struggle in there. Second person to grab the Yahoo Award for getting a Yoo-Hoo, Senior 5 Strikes. Jackson, what are you planning on doing next week to get your wing car in shape to not be a Senior 5 Strikes?
Work on it.
What are you going to do on it?
That's a secret.
Secret? We're keeping secrets now, Jack?
Yeah.
What do we have to expect from you, Jackson, this series?
Get a podium.
Get a podium. I like it. Nathaniel, you also ran an exceptional Group F wing car. What did you do different from the beginning of this series from last series? Because you're running the same chassis, correct?
Yes.
So what did you do once you put that Eagle motor in? What exactly new did you do? Or are we keeping secrets here too?
Oh, no, I finally learned how to drive them.
Okay. You didn't change tires or nothing?
Nope, just learn how to drive.
That's all it takes. King Randy Curley. So, would you say that the defining moment of that last race that really kind of set you on a bad back against Guillermo was whenever your car come to a stall right before the start-finish line?
Yeah, it happened twice. Cost me 3 laps.
Well, I know even though I was talking to Chat, and Chat wasn't actually there because we were recording it instead of streaming it, was you or was you not running traction control?
No traction control.
So it cost you?
It cost me, yeah. Well, the car's just light. That's a different car, and it's real light in the front. And I was just barely on the trigger, but it was still too much to take off over there on the bank.
So swapping the motors back to an Eagle, the Eagle's a little bit lighter than the Group 20 or the Group 12.
That's a different chassis.
Oh, you got a different chassis this season?
Well, I did today. I'll probably have the old chassis back next week.
Old chassis coming back next week. So, Glenn, what are we expecting out of this brushless out of you today? Or am I going to see a victory coming out of you? Because I know that you've been headhunting old Randy.
I'm just going to run my race, just try to stay consistent, try to get out front and stay in front.
Well, right now you got a pretty good opportunity down being on blue lane, nobody beside you there. Are we going to make a jolt off this line and get out in front of these guys, or are we going to let them just go on by?
No, we're going to go under the bridge wide open. Everybody on the yellow lane, so I'm going to let the right rear just hang out.
We got them 2 communities, don't we, Glenn?
That's right, 2 communities.
All right, looks like the hard set up. They're ready to go, folks. Anytime you racers want, y'all can pick this microphone up and vent. It's going to be right over here on the drag strip. All right, folks. I think the wife's just about got the hard bodies. Everything good? Go ahead, run it. All right, they're going to run the hard body. Guillermo's going to his driver controller station, and we're going to be starting the main event here, the brushless IROC series here at Lanes Raceway. All right, racers, watch your lights. 4 red lights are dropping out to a green this time that we are streaming. Let me go over here to the main menu here and try to get the chat rolling this time, and maybe it'll actually work. Didn't work before. There's a reason for that. Because I was trying to authorize something that wasn't even online. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. We are connected now. And we are live streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I got that in the way. There we go. So it looks like orange and blue are going to take the first community there. So Glenn really did jump out there. But that's what it takes, folks. If you want to be number one, want to be on top, you got to make a risky decision sometimes. And sometimes they pay off. So. Jackson's got a car there in his hand. It's going to be Nathaniel Burden. Going to take the second community. And 4 red lights dropping out to green. We're going racing. As you guys can tell, these cars are very, very consistent, the brushless cars, and a little bit different sound too. Almost seeing them maxing out there on the backstretch. You're able to actually follow these cars a little bit better. So we see one of them come off on its lid there in the donut portion of the track. For everybody out there, send Dana Durham a birthday wish, the ultimate track marshal here at Lanes Raceway. So that's going to be a strike for blue, Glenn Burden. 4 red lights drop out to green. Here we go. We get another couple of them doubling off there in the donut portion of the track. These guys coming off freshly off of the wing cars, man, they were doing exceptional. I wish it really did live stream because it's probably the best wing car race it's seen. We actually went one heat without seeing a single wreck, so that was pretty cool. Looks like one on green too. Looks like the donut's an issue for people, over accelerating or something, but the car there off on its lid. You see Jackson grab it and bring it around. Another strike there on white for Guillermo. Sent some cheer ups here in the chat for old Jackson. He's had a rough day today. He actually got a senior 5 strikes, and it is not fun getting one of them. Only 3 people so far got it. One, Carson, Randy, and Jackson. It's when you get both communities and all 3 strikes, so it usually entails that there's some stuff going on with your car that makes it where it's not doing too well to get that to happen. He usually does quite a bit better in the wing car class, but he just doesn't like the way it feels. He says it's not as loose as it used to be, but we looked at his car before the series started and his bushings were oblong, wore out. As we see a car bounce off the horseshoe portion of the track in the upper right hand portion of the screen. That's going to be a strike for red, his first. So he's doing a lot better in this series than he was in the wing car series as a beginning. But as you can see, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, pretty close running here. It's going to be a fun series what happens is we'll take these cars out of the box, swap the stickers around so that the cars are always on different lanes every time we race. But the guys are not allowed to mess with them. They got to do all their work on the track, just like how we did our hard body series in the previous season. Except I ain't got to solder in motors, so that's an advantage. See Jackson rolling around there to grab his car. He's going to take another strike here. Like one of the hard bodies came all the way over to the orange track there. We see Scott picking it up there. 35 seconds left to go. And it looks like we got a car coming off on green. That's going to be their second for Nathaniel. So we got 3 guys riding 2 strikes so far. 30 seconds left in the heat still. Nonetheless, you can see very close racing here. Randy Kirtley out in the lead right now on orange lanes. He comes around the donut portion. He's trying to reel in the car on blue lane, which is Glenn Burden. And Glenn Burden there currently in 3rd position as he's going to make that dive bomb move. Glenn Burden's definitely doing some pretty good fending off, kind of just riding behind him, it seems, just biding their own time. Both of them running a pretty good pass of time here. As they get a little bit side by side there through the horseshoe. Randy backing off just a smidge there, not pushing the subject. But we got a car coming in green, Nathaniel Burden coming up behind them. As we in the round robin heat there is a good push for Nathaniel right there towards the end. Let's take a quick look here at the track, Nate, and see what we got going on. Randy Kirtley currently in the lead with 30 laps. Everybody else 29 except for Guillermo, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's about to pass the finish line. Maybe not. Okay, well, nonetheless, go over to the oval. We can kind of see what's going on here with some of the hard bodies. But first, let me clear off these strikes. Then we'll go over to the oval. Watch some of these guys running around there. Nice little coast there at the hard bodies. You see the old Mustang there. That's Bronny's. He sent me a picture this morning. He's running front tires all the way around on that car. We're trying to do a mini stock series in the next series, which will be our summer series. That'll be 2.5 months away though, folks. But I'm liking it. I like the idea. I think it's pretty cool. We can see just how smooth that car is. And believe it or not, them front tires got some pretty good grip. Not a lot of chatter with the front tires as they're a lot smaller. And I think it'll be a pretty good little class, whether we run hard body or soft, I don't know. So they're in a rotation right now too. Checking in on chat. We see Nathaniel there behind me working on one of his cars. Him and Randy Kirtley both. See Nathaniel there just up right above my shoulder there. Glenn, his dad, there also. Nothing going on in the chat land, but if you guys like to chat, you're more than welcome to jump in on the chats. I think the YouTube, Facebook, I don't know about Facebook actually. YouTube and Twitch usually work pretty good. Randy there, he's looking around. He's looking at oil in the car and everything else. Pretty good view there actually. Let's see if we can get in on that view a little bit deeper. So he puts his car back in. The way these guys do it is they'll mark their car first, then they'll go find the car that they're rotating to on the track and move it as long as it's marked. In other words, that way everybody knows where the cars are. And the cars always stay on the stickered lane. So green lane's always green. So right now we see there the pink front end of black back of that Mercedes LMP style car is always going to be on green lane. The rotation's the only thing that changes, and that's going to be for each individual. So right now Jackson's going to be driving that pink car. Race starts in 5 seconds. All right, folks, here we go. 5 red lights lighting up. Going to drop out to a green. We're going racing. And we got a stalled car there on black lane. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be on Black Lane. Okay. So that's a community there. Four red lights dropping out to green. Here we go. Now I believe we're on the up and up. Randy Kirtley out in the lead right now there on white lane as he tries to reel in a couple guys right in front of him going around the donut portion. And he's got one right on his left side, Guillermo Sire there on red. He definitely wants to get past him. These guys fierce competition with one another. But he's kind of just hanging back there a little bit. We can see on the right-hand portion of the screen when he rolls around. So he's about to roll around now here on white as he comes around. He's kind of giving Guillermo a little bit of space. He's down low on what looks to be yellow lane. Or blue lane, sorry. Nathaniel Burton's down on blue lane right below him. So they're kind of keeping equal distance between each other. Glenn Burton there, bringing up the tail there on purple. He's going to try to make some moves around the donut portion as he passes Nathaniel through the horseshoe. Randy Kirtley there, of course, on white lane, trying to make a move now on red on Guillermo, but he's backing back off as Guillermo's just holding it just too tight. And we can still see that blue lane and Nathaniel there holding it strong also. So some really, really tight racing here. Nathaniel's been on a runner this week. As we see the pink front end of that Mercedes Caterpillar car. It's going to be a community strike on green, the second one. So we're now in actual strikes. But everybody's doing pretty good. All day long, everybody's been running pretty good. 46 seconds left to go in the heat, and it's literally just one lap, guys. 48 top three, and the bottom two there, 47. So they're only one lap difference. It's all about the aggression here. As we focus back in on white lane, coming around the donut portion of the track, we can still see him trying to catch up with Guillermo Sire there on red, kind of biding his time. But right directly in front of him is the one that just wrecked there, Jackson on green lane with the pink front end. And Randy kind of just staying behind him as everybody's running pretty consistently, speaking around the same median, 3.8, 3.7, high 7. So everybody's pretty close together. Not really a good opportunity to make any passes, especially on the high sides like that. As Randy Kirtley kind of gets a little bit of breathing room from Jackson to kind of spread out him, Jackson, and Nathaniel there on blue lane coming around the horseshoe. We can kind of see that these guys are getting a little bit of that distance that is needed as they come to a stop here. Leading the three of them would be Jackson there on green through the S-turns. Right behind him, Randy, and on blue lane, Nathaniel. All three of these guys giving each other room and running exceptionally. We go over to the track mate. We see Randy Kirtley still in the lead, 30.5, tied up with Glenn Burton. I asked Glenn earlier if he was going to bring this thing home, and didn't have a whole lot of confidence in his response, but you know, he did say that he was going to dive out there on blue, and he did. He is a man of his word, kept that. So right now he's in second position, holding it down, 61 total laps. Jackson in third, coming back off of a rough start on the Wing Car Series with 60 laps, 30 on average. Him and Nathaniel both tied at 30. Guillermo Sire there in last place with 59, having a few wrecks so far in this series as he gets his feet wet, trying to learn things. Let's move over to the oval and check out some of the hard body as they finish up their rotation. First off, let's clear these strikes. I always forget to clear the strikes. Now that they're clear, let's move back over to the oval as they go back green. I see Briney there with his Mustang. He just put that Mustang body together. And like I said, sent me a picture. Man, it looks good with the tiny tires. Reminds me of something, there was an old movie I watched back in the day called Menace to Society. Not really a family-friendly movie, but nonetheless an old Mustang with like some 13-inch rims. That's what it kind of reminded me of. 1 minute and 18 seconds left to go before we go back to the main event. But like I said, these hard body guys, they're getting better and better and smoother. And a lot of these guys are going to be in the upcoming Hometown Heroes class. So with all this practice, we're going to see probably some pushback to some of the guys running on the orange today. It's going to be exciting to see how well these open wheel modifieds go. Now today I'm getting pictures, or actually my wife is getting pictures of these guys' faces and pictures of the cars before we completely destroy them, or at the very least scratch them up. That way I can make little bitty driver introductions for the Hometown Heroes class. I was talking to the guys earlier. What I wanted to do was kind of do something more like dirt racing, where we had heat races and stuff like that, but the risks were way too high. They said, 2 times you could wreck and that was it. They didn't really like that for such of a series, but if everybody was members, it wouldn't be so bad. We could do some more experimental stuff like that, and I think that would be pretty cool. But nonetheless, we just decided to do 3 strikes and you're out and run regular races. Keep it simple, I guess you'll say. Maybe in the future we'll do something like that. Nonetheless, we're heading over here to cam 1 and 2. 2 seconds left to go before we see those red lights drop out into green, and we're going back racing. So far, some very, very competitive races. We see a stalled car there on green. That's Guillermo Sire. And we also see what looked to be somebody getting off the trigger on white, possibly, to hit the track call button. All right, looks like Randy Kirtley is going to take a community. Change the fact though that the car up in the horseshoe there in the upper right hand portion of the screen was stalled out on green, so we'll see if that changes. And it actually moved this time. All right, good. Here we go, 1 minute and 50 seconds left to go in the heat. We are in round robin 3 of 8 right now. From the bottom to the top, we're looking at a difference in 3 laps. Median changes of 3.89 all the way up to 4.07. But I mean, those are really, really tight times, folks. Best lap of 3.629 from Nathaniel Burden right now. And the worst lap is just a 3.837. So just a couple tenths different there. Glenn Burden right now on black lane, running that high side there, coming around the donut. As we get a wreck to take place here, not showing up on the screen here, so we'll see who that is. Possibly Randy Kirtley here. No, Randy Kirtley's on red, so it's somebody else. That's going to be blue lane, Jackson Darty. It's going to be second community, so we're now in strikes yet again. Jackson currently in 3rd place, just 1 lap down from the lead. He's pushing hard. He wants to get a podium. A man, a few words in the interview earlier before we started the race. Glenn Burden there on black lane, hammering it home as he's riding that white car with everything he's got. We'll see if he can catch the pack here. As we see 3 or 4 of the guys there. Jackson on blue, Guillermo on green, and Randy on red. Ooh, Glenn Burden, looks like he got a little bit of a love tap there by purple. That'd be Nathaniel Burden, his son, giving him a love tap. Wow. Looks like Nathaniel really wanted that first place enough to put his dad in the wall there. So that's going to be the first strike there for Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden runs a pretty exceptional black lane, as we can see here. Currently 2nd best time, or 3rd best, I'm sorry. I didn't see Guillermo there. 3.659 for Guillermo. 3.664, but that's how close these times are, man. It is minuscule, to say the very least. All these cars very consistent. If you were thinking about at your slot car track whether or not you should maybe push brushless, so far it's looking pretty good. We ran a practice race last week and everything went pretty well. Of course, a little bit of tinkering with the motor screws and stuff just to get it right, so there wasn't no spooling or nothing like that. But once we got all that stuff worked out, the cars handle great. They're super lightweight. They're pretty consistent. The braking is super duper hard. the braking reminds me kind of like a speedball motor. It's super hard braking, so you almost have to dial it all the way back. It's not as aggressive as like a speedball, but nonetheless, it's pretty exceptional braking. Not to mention that the sensitivity on these cars is very, very sensitive. So I would consider the sensitivity more like a wing car sensitivity. But you can dial all that stuff down. You pretty much, what I was running last week in the practice race, I ran about a 2.5, 3 on sensitivity on the Falco controller, and ran my brake at like a 4 or 5, I believe it was. So, you know, you're dialing the stuff back quite a bit just to get a nice little entry. But I do run a lot of high brakes. So usually on most cars I run full brake. So that just puts in perspective how brakey these things really are. It's aggressive braking. 24 seconds left to go. We see Nathaniel Burden out in the lead now as he's coming under the bridge as we speak and around the donut. He's side by side right now with Guillermo Sires. It looks like he's going to make the pass here. Then Guillermo takes advantage of that and comes back just by a hair. So a little bit of back and forth with these guys. They're running side by side. That just goes to show you how close they are. Nathaniel and Guillermo both 3.577. Nathaniel finishing in first on that heat to 3.659 of Guillermo. Let's take over here and look at the track mate, do some comparable numbers here. On average, everybody's in the 30s here. The only thing that's separating the leaders from the rest of the pack is legitimately 0.7 and 0.3 a lap, and that could just be consistently speaking of where they're located currently in rotation. So 92 laps for Nathaniel, 91 for Randy, and everybody else is at 90 laps. So it's still anybody's ball game in this race. If you're interested in wanting to join up in this IROC series, which we take these cars up and I'll let the guys manipulate or mess with them, by all means, give us a shout here at Lanes Raceway. We'll get you put in there and you can have a good time with these guys competing. And most likely, you know, just, you know, checking back in here on chat, most likely what we're probably going to see out of this, if somebody wins it, we're probably going to see Hometown Hero make it to the end. Hello. I guess that would be my brother there, Lanes Raceway. Hello, Donnie. I am Donnie, by the way. That would be my brother. I call him Gaboni, but nonetheless, he's checking out the race here. This will probably be one of the front runners for the class to go on to be the Blue Crown here at Lanes Raceway for the Spring Series. Just simply how close that they are. Now, like I said, the Hometown Hero is a big one in the guys' hearts too, simply because most of those cars those guys are running is what the guys would run in the summertime in the dirt racing and stuff like that. So, you know, probably could have waited till fall time to run that, I guess, when it started cooling off, people wasn't running dirt. But nonetheless, guys love running their Hometown Hero. And I'll tell you what, we clear-coated those with car clear. They ended up coming out really, really well. So check out here on the oval track, guys running hard body simultaneously while we're doing this. They're excited for the Hometown Heroes class coming up. As we got Scott and Gunner's car, we got it painted up and cleared up, and man, they're nice looking. Scott, of course, wanting a 44. The car decal set that we got didn't have the 44 on it, but I think he settled with 43, I think. Nonetheless, some of the guys not even running numbers, just running liveries. Camden, of course, he's running the Ghost car. It's neon green. You can check it out on our Facebook, Lanes Raceway's Facebook. 22 seconds before we go back green racing. And hope you guys like the new layout here on the live stream here. Looks like rain. I mean, that's what I was kind of going for, neon rain. I don't know how else better to say spring than rain in Kentucky. Let's head back over to cam 1 and 2. See Guillermo in a full-fledged sprint like he's about to miss the class bell. 4 red lights drop out to green, and we're going back racing in our prestigious race of the brushless IROC class here at Lanes Raceway. Nathaniel Burden out in the lead there on black as he's coming up underneath the donut right now, trying to catch Glenn Burden there on yellow. These guys like to really push it. You can see his car step out there on black lane as he's hammering it home. Now on his inside there, Guillermo Sire, he's trying to make it a point that he's wanting to try to get up there in the pack with these guys. So we're going to see a cluster going around the donut now. But that black lane, I'll tell you what, he's hammering it home, and he's staying side by side with Glenn, giving a little give and take about a car length each lap between the two. It really depends on who goes through the S-turn first. Now we got another one joining in the mix. Jackson Darty says, I've not had enough yet, as he actually lifts to not hit the car of Nathaniel Burden there in the S-turn. One of the cars coming off there on the back stretch. So we see Nathaniel rolling around to put it on. But as you can see, just like I said earlier, there in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen, you see the pink front and the black back of the Caterpillar there on green lane. That car will stay on green lane for all 8 heats. So everybody gets a chance to run the pink Caterpillar on green lane. And this came into a big clutch last weekend whenever we was running the test for this. And I ended up dropping 2 laps to Randy Kirtley in the 4th heat. And I told Jackson, I said, I just lost. And he was like, man, you still got 4 heats. I said, I may have got 4 heats, but I lost. And you just know whenever the guys are on a rotation above you, they're heading in the one ahead of you, that you're just not going to catch them, depending on where they're at on the track. So Randy ended up beating me by, I think, 4 laps. I ended up choking a little bit harder there towards the end. Me and Randy were both about 30 or so laps up. Randy being my dad, of course. But give him respect. He's a racer. He needs to be called Randy on here. Randy K. Nathaniel Burden there on black lane, still hammering it down as they're going 4 wide still yet, as we see a car shoot off into the distance straight out of the S-turns. A little bit over acceleration on the entry. Should have been letting off instead of gassing down. But these things will give you some kind of false hope. I'll tell you, they're so light and they handle so well, they will give you false hope. So we see Guillermo Sire there on blue lane, going to take the second community. All I have to really say, it came out right there where his fingers is, right there in the split. I watched it happen. He just accelerated on the entry there. Probably did roll the brake up right there on the middle of the track, I would say, just from sheer boosting. But once you see those guys ahead of you, you got your right eye on the crowd and your left eye on your car. You just want to get that extra car length, and try to push hard. As we see a little bit of a jolt, like I said, these cars are lightweight. Almost wouldn't hurt to run maybe a half of some traction control here, as we see that car simply just coming out in the donut because of having a trigger held too hard. These cars are quite light, especially in the rear. Just got to take it in consideration. It cost Randy the last race in the wing car for being a little overzealous with the trigger on start. That's why I'd rather use low sensitivity than high sensitivity, simply because it can cost you. So that's a strike for both purple and black. That'll be Nathaniel and Jackson both receiving their first strikes. As we take a look over here at the total laps, though, I'm talking 111, 112, 112, 114, 114. It don't get no closer than that in slot car racing, folks. I mean, when you're talking about 8 full heats and these guys are that close, a difference in medians from 3.75 to 3.92, I mean, it's minuscule. It's very minuscule. Everybody's going to end up running the same cars, running the same lane. I really do enjoy this little setup here. All the guys had to do was, of course, pay cost for these cars to get in, and that's my cost, not their cost. So in other words, they're not paying retail, you're paying my cost from the shop to get in this series so that the track's not out for the cars. We take all responsibility for the cars during the week, and I oil them up and make sure they're in decent condition before the race. And if there needs to be tires put on the car or whatever, everybody that's in the series, of course, gets charged equally for that set of tires. They basically own all the cars throughout the series. At the end of the series, if they'd like to purchase one, they can purchase it at full retail minus 20%, because that's my used car price. So 20% off basically is what they'll get the car for. So it's a pretty good deal all the way around. They get to race all season long, and then at the end they get to pick a car to take home with them if they want a brushless car. 4 red lights drop out to green. Here we go. 1 second left to go in the heat, and Randy Kirtley now going to take the lead back from Nathaniel Burden. So we take a look over at the track mate. Randy Kirtley now stepping up into an average of 31. Last heat, everybody was in the 30s. 0.7, I think, was Nathaniel, 30.7. He's dropped down to a 30.5. Glenn Burden now up in the mix of 30.2 in third place. That's your top 1, 2, and 3. 124 at the top, 120 at the bottom as Jackson and Guillermo are tied up. Checking in on the chat, we see Good Ground says, hello, T. I guess I told myself that because that's actually me. I'm Good Ground, but nonetheless, hello, T. So we'll go over here to the strike board. We'll clear that out. Okay, and we'll take a look over here at the oval track because these guys are still running hard bodies and beating and banging. A little bit earlier ago, they were all practicing and testing and tuning stuff. One of the cars actually came off and went up underneath the orange track, so that's pretty exciting to see. Minute and 45 seconds before we go back, and we see some tight racing down low in the hard bodies. Ooh, one of them coming up to the top and getting a little bit of an incident. Nice coast there by the number 3 AC Delco. Hard hitting a rider on green. Wife brought me a water. I appreciate that. All right, 15 seconds left to go. Glenn Burden on orange, Randy on blue, Nathaniel Burden on yellow, Guillermo Sire on purple, Jackson Darty on black. Four red lights drop out to green. The car a little sideways down there on the high banks on yellow. Randy Kirtley out in the lead there on blue lane as he goes around the donut. And right behind him on yellow is Nathaniel Burden. He's wanting to push the subject. Nathaniel actually come through yellow quite a bit faster. Randy getting a little slippy slidey up there on the upper portion of the donut. See a car come off, and Glenn Burden is going to get that car put back on. It's going to be on Black Lane, the first community. Black Lane having some struggles here today. It's like a lot of people having trouble keeping the car on Black Lane. Your leader Randy Kirtley there in the S turns as he goes through. Got another little bit of a battle there between purple and orange right behind them. Staying true to the game here. Randy Kirtley coming around the donut portion right now, and right behind him on purple is Guillermo Sire. He's wanting to make some moves here, and he does. Guillermo Sire makes that move through the horseshoe portion. Randy Kirtley kind of pulling her back a little bit there on blue. Maybe not driving the blue car to its potential, but nonetheless, the blue car doesn't have any side wing action, so it's a little bit tougher. It's not as low to the ground as some of the LMP styles. Now, of course, under normal circumstances, everybody would be like, well, you can't run those two different types of bodies because the top end or heaviness of the GT3 cars is just too much. So it's not going to be performing as well. That is true, but being that everybody is going to run that car, it doesn't really matter at that point. You can run whatever body. I could put a hard body on one of these lanes. It really wouldn't matter, because everybody's going to have to run the hard body eventually. Nonetheless, 3 cars coming off on the horseshoe portion of the track there. Let's see if I can do a little bit of modifying here on the fly to try to see a little bit more of. I'm going to crunch one of these in a little bit. I'm going to move this over. And I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more. There we go. We got a little bit more of the horseshoe portion of the track. See it a little bit better. So yellow and black are going to take a strike. Both first strikes. Now, I can't hear if the guys pick up the microphone and have anything to say, but I did give them free reign other than no cussing. They can pick up the microphone at any time they want and say whatever they want over there. The microphone is on the drag strip, and I hope they do. I hope they let some of the racers, fans out there know what they're thinking. The spread right now is 137 to 143. These are really tight margins here. Randy Kirtley still on the lead there on blue lane, as we see him really just running a nice median here, 3.85. It's not the fastest, but it's not the slowest. He's about mid-pack, really. But Nathaniel really pushing the subject there, 3.75 down on yellow, and 3.68 of Guillermo Sire. So those guys are definitely gaining quite a few tenths as they roll through, trying to catch Randy. Now Randy, of course, going to end this heat just 3 laps ahead of Guillermo and 1 lap ahead of Nathaniel Burden. Taking a look at the track mate, Randy Kirtley still out in the lead with 31, but we see Nathaniel back in his comfort zone here, where he was running 3.5 the previous heat. Now he's back up 30.8 in the previous heat before that when he was 30.7. So now he's doing 0.1 better. So he's pushing the subject here against Randy. He really wants a piece of that first position. Guillermo Sire there, 30.4. He's 0.4 down on average from Nathaniel, and only 0.2 down is Glenn Burden from Guillermo. Now Jackson Darney there in the back, he's 29.8. He's not out of this yet, as he's ran the lanes that he doesn't really appreciate as much. Now he's going to be going into his hot lanes. He likes the white lane, the orange lane, and the yellow lane. So we'll see how well he performs here in the next 3 heats as we end up rounding up for the end of this race. As we could tell so far, not a whole lot of wrecks to be had in the brushless class, as they almost max out right once you get out of the horseshoe portion of the track. Checking in on chat, still no change in chat. Good to have guys coming in chat. We can see Lindis there, Freedom 343 shirt. Oh, Jackson, give us a wave. He's gonna give us a sticker, he says. All right, red sticker. I guess he don't need that sticker anyways. All the cars are stickered on the track. A little 3-way side-by-side action there. It's interesting to see, too, there on blue lane. I know that Bronny's just running that car for fun. Oh, one off on the lid there down through the crook of the track. Bronny just barely missing that action. It was a Days of Thunder wreck there. You can see the Mustang there Bronny's got there on blue lane there. Maxing out on speed, but man, you know what, that is a pretty good class, especially for beginners and stuff. Maybe get those tires in Wonder Rubber, have them slide a little bit. It'd be an interesting race. Similar speeds to something you would more or less see on an HO scale track. All right, 15 seconds left to go. Glenn on white, Nathaniel on orange, Jackson on yellow, Randy on purple, and Guillermo on black. Here we go, folks. Four red lights drop out to green, and we'll be underway yet again. 6 of 8. We're 3/4 of the way through on this race, and what a race it's been so far. Hardly any wrecks, a lot of side-by-side racing, not a lot of stepping out because these chassis are so light. You almost have to intentionally wreck someone. As we get a guy off in the high banks for the first time, So that car was really hauling the mail enough to be able to have to be blipped there in the blip station. Who that was. Most likely, I would probably guess it would probably be Randy, but looks to be Glenn Burden up on White Lane, really giving her the high side there. So that'll be a community. It's good to get the communities. Randy Kirtley there on Purple Lane as he comes around the donut. He's in no man's land. Right behind him, though, Guillermo Sire in black. Both of the guys competing as he ends up coming all the way around there before the track got shut off. We got a car on orange come off this time for the second community. So that's the second community gone. Randy Kirtley, of course, right there at the entrance of Dead Man's Corner underneath the bridge. You can see him on purple. 2 laps different between him and Nathaniel. Nathaniel on a different portion of the track trying to reel him in, and we can see him actually just right behind him. So Randy Kirtley coming up under, trying to catch the yellow car of Jackson Darty. We'll see if he can do it. He's catching him. Jackson holding his own though there in the red car, and on the inside of that, Glenn Burden on white. Purple car is really humming as we get the orange car to come off yet again in the donut. Now that's going to be an actual strike this time for orange. As he checks the braid, this is always a good thing to do, especially if you've been running as good as Nathaniel has today. You definitely want to make sure that the braid's not rolled up. Now, these guide flags have a very sharp tip on them. If you're overly aggressive, you can roll the braid up on the inside there, and it becomes an issue sometimes. Worst thing you can do on a track, though, is push too hard down on a braid roller, because you can actually unseat the braid itself. So you just want to use the weight of the roller to roll it down, and that's enough. Unless it's in between some joints. If it's in between joints, then you might have to put a little bit more aggression. But going around the corners, I've just found that you can do a lot more damage by pushing too hard than you can just letting the weight of the roller do the trick, I guess you would say. Right now, Randy Kirtley, 167 out in the lead. A best lap of 3.590. That's pretty good. The worst out there right now is a 3.781, but I'll tell you what, very, very tight margins. It's only 0.2 of a second, or I'm sorry, 3.995. Median wise, we're looking at a difference between 0.4 top to bottom, so not too bad at all. Very close racing. Well, you guys can see how close it is. 159 to 167. We're not even at a full 10 laps separating yet, and we're already 3/4 of the way through this race. 4 red lights drop out to green. Here we go. Randy Kirtley on purple, coming in Dead Man's Corner right now, and he's in no man's land. He's by himself right now. The next person next to him is Nathaniel Burden there on orange, your second position. Guillermo Sire there on black lane, as we see him ripping around there side by side with Nathaniel Burden in second position as he goes to try to get a lap on Nathaniel. Nathaniel making it really, really hard on him, but he just can't hang with the outside of that, being able to carry so much momentum as he had to end up letting him go on by. Now, purple trying to give Nathaniel a little bit of issues there, but Jackson there holding it down on yellow also. The leader Randy Kirtley there in purple coming up underneath Dead Man's Corner now as he catches some traffic here. Nathaniel Burden next one to try to get a little piece of that action there as he comes in Dead Man's Corner side by side with Nathaniel Burden. As you can see, Nathaniel Burden running a pretty good orange right now, median of 3.82, somewhere about mid-pack there. But a best lap of 3.712 for orange, that ain't too bad. Guillermo Sire now in second position as he's able to hold a little bit more acceleration through black lane. But he's getting really, really close to doing what a lot of guys have done today, and that's tickling that wall. As you can see the difference in between the first section of the wall and the second section. Well, the first section is to catch a lot of damage from busting up the wood. Well, if you step it out too much in that section, what ends up happening is your back body touches that and it ends up pulling you off. But if you can time it just right, you can hold just enough around to get there and be super aggressive at the same time. Now that's going to be the second strike there for Nathaniel. But 14 seconds left to go. I think everybody's going to be in pretty good shape here. 29 laps total turn for Randy and Guillermo so far. Nathaniel just 3 laps back from that. Randy currently going to try to catch Jackson. He does, and he dive bombs him right there on Dead Man's Corner, and he's able to make the pass. It seems like the yellow car of Jackson is probably one of the slower cars here today. So we look over here at the strike. We'll go ahead and clear those out. We head down here to track mate. We see Randy currently in the lead, 31.5 on average. Guillermo now at 30.8 on average. That was what Nathaniel was the previous heat. Nathaniel dropping down to right at the lowest that we've seen at 30.5 on average. Glenn Burton there in 30, and Jackson 29.8, still hanging out there in the 29 section there. But still ran a 30 there on yellow. Not too bad. He's holding the 30s for sure. Just got to step the game up just a little bit. Don't forget to oil the cars and stuff like that. And we take a look over here at the oval, and we can see some more hard body action. Looks like the hard body guy's got a cheerleader there in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, cheering on the racers. Yeah, we get a hot car there to the outside. Take a look at the chat. Nothing much has changed. I will say this, epidemic sound has changed. I had to do a couple more steps today to even be able to get in here and bring you this premium background music that you all love to keep us from getting copyright strike. Randy Curley, seems like every time we come to this, we see him working on his car right there by the bridge. He must time it perfectly. All right, 15 seconds left to go. Glenn on red, Nathaniel on white, Jackson on orange, Guillermo on yellow, and Randy on black. So both Jackson, Guillermo, and Randy, all three, are going to have a little space in between. Randy there on black, trying to reel in Guillermo Sire there on yellow. He's going to extend his lead. Black lane seems to be the one where most people can aggressively turn most of the laps, is what I'm seeing. And he's reeling him in slowly but surely, but up on white, Nathaniel Burton trying to make a mix in with the guys. Down there on black, Randy now trying to make that pass, but Jackson just ain't letting it happen. Jackson holding that orange car, or Guillermo holding that yellow car down. Now orange car Jackson coming up in the mix between Randy and Guillermo. They're about 3 wide there going through the S portion. Looks like Jackson led off that lap, though. Jackson falling behind now, 3 wide with Nathaniel in the mix. All three, Nathaniel, Guillermo, and Randy side by side. Now looks like Nathaniel kind of backing off a little in white as he comes around there. We see a car off on red, Glenn Burton. What a round so far. Right at a minute and 30 seconds before the first caution. I'm telling you, these guys are getting good. I wish I knew exactly the glue state of this track. These guys come correct this season. 10 laps now, 7 of 8. 10 laps separates the very back to the very front. So if somebody was to wreck out of this, it's over for them. Back to the lead there on black. Randy Kirtley still side by side with Guillermo Sire there on yellow as they try to reel in the next pack up, which would be the red car of Glenn Burton. Looks like Randy letting off there on black a little bit. No longer side by side with Guillermo as Guillermo goes on there on yellow lane. A couple car lengths ahead. Now Randy side by side with the red car of Glenn Burton as he inches out in front of Glenn just by a hair. We get a red flag rotation. That's it, folks. Very uneventful little heat there, but at the same time, very, very close racing. I don't even think anybody got a lap on each other on that one. So we go over here and take a look at the track mate. We're going to see some averages definitely increase on that. 31.6 for Randy, 31 now for Guillermo as he jumped up from 30.8. Nathaniel Burton actually dropped a little, which is surprising to me as well as he's been running. He was at 30.5 last heat and he dropped her to a 30.4. But consistency is key and he didn't drop off a lot. 4 laps, so he can make that up in the final heat. Jackson actually increased. He's out of the 20s now. He's in 30. So I'll tell you, that's what it's going to boil down to. 31.6 is pretty high, but 30 is high also. 29.9, Glenn's right there on the precipice. Him and Jackson battling it out, only 1 lap different from each other. Over at the oval, we see Ryan there hooking his new controller up. Got him a Mid-America controller. It's a different style feel for sure, the Mid-America controller versus the Falco. I personally like it. Let's see, somebody's behind me. Let's see who it is. It's the Hulk. It's Red Hulk. What are you doing, Jackson? Are you? Well, you finally got her in the 30s. You got 30 average. You've been 20 and you now got her up in the 30s. Not bad. Checking chat. Not much has changed. You see Randy yet again working on his car. Every time we do the chat check. You're muscling the camera where? Oh, I see you over there. What, you flexing on people? Ladies chat. He said what? What'd he say? White's quick. What? Blip though, yeah. We did see one of them come off there. I don't know, did you see him abusing me, chat? Over here punching me in the shoulder. Thought we were buddies. 10 seconds left to go. I didn't do the lineup. Here we go. Nathaniel, red. Jackson, white. Glenn, green. Guillermo, orange. Randy, yellow. 5 red lights dropping out to green. I'm going to get this red sticker off my shirt. Final heat here, folks. A lot of good racing being done here tonight. Now we're moving to the oval in the next live stream for the Hometown Heroes to end it up. Looks like orange and yellow going to take a community. It's Guillermo and Randy. They must have got a little bumping going on there. All right, Randy out on yellow. Right behind him in orange is Guillermo Sire. Randy actually gaining a little bit here. We see the pink car coming up in the mix, though. And that's Glenn Burton on green. On the inside there, Jackson on white, biding his time, doing the best he can. Trying to fight me a while ago, beat me up. All right, the orange lane of Guillermo Sire, he's trying to grab him a guy there. Nathaniel Burton up on red. Brandy Kirtley still battling Jackson. Jackson holding his own there on white lane. Now Nathaniel actually pulling ahead of Jackson just by a smidge. As we see the green car, Glenn Burton, get tossed. So green going to take the second community. I think these guys really do enjoy the brushless series here at Lanes Raceway. Nathaniel Burton, though, man, he's running a good race this weekend. He's keeping her in there, keeping her in tow. It's the second race I've seen him today actually run as competitive as he has. I hadn't seen this kind of ferocity out of Nathaniel in quite some time, but I'll tell you what, man, he's bringing the heat today. Get a car off on its lid there in the right before the S portion of the track, coming out of the top side of the donut. That's going to be Jackson Darty. Take his first strike. All right, 4 red lights drop out to green. Here we go. Randy Kirtley, your leader. He's at the top of the donut. Trying to reel in Guillermo Sire again there on orange. We can see they're both about 4 car lengths separated each other as Randy comes in through orange. And we see Glenn Burton's car coming off again there in the donut on green lane. Take his first strike. So he's going to run the old braid roller around there. How Glenn's doing it right there is about how you want to do it, folks. Not too much pressure, just enough to get her rolling around there, to roll that edge down. That's it. You do much more than that, we're going to be spending some time gluing the braid, and that happens a lot. 15 seconds left to go in this heat, folks. It's all but wrote in stone. But I'll tell you what, less than 10 laps separates these guys. Or, well, actually, a little bit more than 10 laps. Sorry about that. All right, here comes Randy probably for the last time, and he ends up in the donut. Randy's going to bring this one home. So a little battle between Randy and Guillermo. Guillermo taking home the first win. Randy taking home the second, but the first win for the brushless class. Randy Kirtley taking home that win with 253 total laps. Second place, Guillermo Sire, 248. Nathaniel Burton, 243. Jackson Darty, 240. And Glenn Burton, 239. About 15 laps separates from top to bottom. What racing. This series is beautiful, folks. I can see a great future. 29, let's just go through some looks here. Top ran there on red, 31 by Guillermo, 29 the low. Top ran on white would be 31 by Randy, 29 the low, or 28 the low by Guillermo. 33 the top on green, 29 the low. So it looks like 29 being the low here. 31 the high for Guillermo and Jackson on orange, 29 the low. 31 yet again, Nathaniel and Randy, this time 29 the low on blue. 32 the high, almost ran by everybody, and 30 the low on yellow. 34, that's the most all so far in this series. 34 the high on purple, and 30 the low on black. And let's see, 33 the high on black, and 29 the low. So 29 seems to be the average low. Nonetheless, folks, what great racing we got. Guillermo leaning up back here behind me. What a race he had. I'll tell you what, that's just how it goes. First race down, and I think it's going to be a great, great series. I hope you guys enjoyed it, as we just now got disconnected from the session there, so we'll have to start that back up before we do our next Hometown Heroes class, folks. I'm telling you, you're in for a treat there. We've been working on these bodies for probably the past month now, painting them, stickering them up. A special thanks to the UPS store in Central City, ran by Eric Williams. He's supposed to sponsor a sticker set for the guys. We're going to do that giveaway tonight in the series, and whoever gets it, they're going to get a free car with that sticker, and they're going to be sponsored by UPS of Central City. So that'll be pretty cool for the guys. Nonetheless, guys, thank you for tuning in to this first inaugural race of the brushless class IROC series here at Lanes Raceway. Thank you, and I'll see you here coming up shortly in the Hometown Heroes class on the Open.